can achieve. Kim, what to speak of. Ja, also. Ashisha, other benedictions. Rati, he bestows. Api, even. Deham, a body. Avyayam, spiritual. Garutu, may he bestow benediction. May, unto me. Adabhidaya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unlimitedly merciful. Vimokshanam, liberation from the present danger and from the material world. Translation. After worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, those who are interested in the four principles of religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation obtain from him what they desire. What then is to be said of other benedictions? Indeed, sometimes the Lord gives a spiritual body to such ambitious worshippers. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unlimitedly merciful, bestow upon me the benediction of liberation from this present danger and from the materialistic way of life. Please repeat. After worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, those who are interested in the four religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, obtain from him what they desire. What then is to be said of other benedictions? Indeed, sometimes the Lord gives a spiritual body to such ambitious worshippers. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unlimitedly merciful, bestow upon me the benedictions of liberation from this present danger and from the materialistic way of life. Some men within this material world are akami, free from material desire. Some are ambitious to get more and more material profit, and some desire fulfillment in religious life, economic development, sense gratification, and finally liberation. Akama sarvakama va moksha kama udharadhi divrena bhakti yogena yujiti purusham para. Bhagavatam 2.3.10. It is recommended that whatever one's position, whether one demands no material profit, or ultimately liberation, one should offer his obedient devotional service to the Lord, and one will get what he desires. Krishna is so kind. Ye yatha mam papadyante tam stataiva bhajamiham. The Lord reciprocates. Whatever even an ordinary living entity wants, Krishna gives. Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, and he gives that which is desired by the living entity. Ishvara sarva bhutanam videshe arjuna tishtati. Brahmanya sarva bhutani yantra rudani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities, who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Bhagavad Gita 18:61. The Lord gives everyone an opportunity to fulfill his ambitions. Even such a devotee as Dhruva Maharaj wanted the material benediction of a kingdom greater than that of his father. And although he'd received a spiritual body, he also got the kingdom, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not disappoint anyone who takes shelter of his lotus feet. Therefore, since Gajendra, king of the elephants, surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead to get free from the present danger and indirectly from the present danger of materialistic life, why should the Supreme Personality of Godhead not fulfill his desire? Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramitanina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. After worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, those who are interested in the four principles of religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation obtain from him what they desire. What then is to be said of other benedictions? Indeed, sometimes the Lord gives a spiritual body to such ambitious worshippers. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unlimitedly merciful, bestow upon me the benediction of liberation from this present danger and from the materialistic way of life. So we're just continuing. Vijendra is still praying. These are his prayers of surrender. So he's been praying different prayers. Other prayers that he's been saying is how Krishna is the Supreme Father, how Krishna is the Supreme Cause of all causes. And here we're seeing how Krishna is so merciful that even those people who do not actually worship him to attain him, but to worship him for other material desires like fulfillment of religion, economic development, sense gratification, liberation. Whatever they desire, Krishna still fulfills their desires too. He doesn't begrudge anybody anything. He fulfills everyone's desires according to what they want, and that's what Krishna reciprocates with us. He's the father of all living entities, so he fulfills the desires of all living entities as they desire. So Krishna very easily gives sense gratification, liberation, all these things, but he very rarely gives pure devotional service, because by that he's conquered by that devotee. So it's not very difficult for Krishna to fulfill our desires for sense gratification, liberation, whatever we desire. And we see that everyone is in different situations in life because of their past desires, past material desires that they have. So some people are born very rich, some people are born with lots of wealth, some people are born with lots of talent, so many different living entities, and they all have different desires. So Krishna is fulfilling all of their desires. He's present in everyone's heart as a super soul, so he's the sanctioning cause. So we may have desires, but unless Krishna sanctions them, they will not be fulfilled. So we are not in control. We think we're in control. We think that we can work. Materialistic people think that they can work and fulfill their desires, but actually, unless Krishna sanctions it, it will not be fulfilled. So Krishna is the ultimate cause. So here Gajendra is praying because he's in a very difficult situation, and he's given the example of Dhruva Maharaj, who also attained a spiritual body, although he had material desires. He had such great desires he had such a great ambition to be more wealthy. He wanted to get kingdom greater than his grandfather, his father. So although it was such a big material desire, Krishna still fulfilled it, and also he gave him a spiritual body to attain Dhruva Loka. So there's many instances where Krishna fulfills our material desires and also gives us pure devotional service. So we can see that in the example of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. Kardama Muni worshipped the Lord not to have his darshan, but when the Lord appeared, he didn't ask him for pure devotional service, he didn't ask him for liberation, he asked him for a wife. So we can see that Krishna is so kind that although the Lord appeared, he could have given him anything, but Kardama Muni. But that was also part of the Lord's pastime, part of the Lord's arrangement. And the Lord wanted to incarnate as a son, so he had to have Kardama Muni had to have a wife for that. So he fulfilled his desire that way. And also he gave him pure devotional service. He gave him a son like Kardama Muni, Kapila Muni, who is an incarnation of the Lord. And so he was delivered, he became a pure devotee. So there's so many instances where in the Bhagavatam where people have so many material desires and they all get fulfilled as well as giving pure devotional service, but only when they're materially exhausted by all these other things. when they're finished with all material enjoyment and finished with all their desires, then Krishna gives them pure devotional service. And it's interesting that Krishna not only is merciful to those who worship him, but even those who want to kill him, like Putana. Putana came with the desire to kill Krishna, but even Krishna is so merciful that he delivered her and gave her the position of a nurse or a mother in the spiritual world. So it's a very important verse, this verse of that Putana is being killed by Krishna. There's it's described that so in the Bhagavatam it's described that the verse is, alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he who granted the position of mother to a she-demon, Putana, although she was unfaithful, and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. So this is extreme mercy by the Lord, even to an enemy, even somebody who wanted to kill him, who didn't have good intentions. So Krishna, in the purport Prabhupada says, it is said that a noble man accepts the good qualities of a person of doubtful character, just as one accepts nectar from a stalk of poison. So although Putana came to kill Krishna, but because she gave him her milk, then Krishna took her as a mother. He took the good side, even although she was trying to kill him. So how merciful is Krishna? It says here, unlimitedly merciful. So there's an interesting story where when Shukadeva Goswami, he's born, and he's been in the womb of his mother for like 16 years, and Vyasadeva asks Krishna, please, can you help him? He doesn't want to come out because he was afraid of, getting entangled in the material world. So Krishna, urged him to come out, and he said, don't worry, you will be protected in some way and by me. And so as soon as Shukadeva Goswami is born, he runs away into the forest, and Vyasadev's like trying to find him and trying to figure out how's he going to get him back, He wasn't able to bring his son back. So he sent his disciples and he asked them to go to Shukadeva Goswami in the forest and to recite 2 shlokas to bring him, to attract him. And the 2 shlokas are, one of them is this verse of Putana, that the Lord is so merciful that he granted the position of mother to Putana, who's a she-demon, And so this is actually a verse describing his great mercy, Krishna's mercy. And the other verse is describing Krishna's beautiful form, and that's in the 10th canto. And this is the verse, is wearing a peacock feather ornament upon his head, blue karnika of flowers on his ears, a yellow garment as brilliant as gold, and the Vaijayanti garland. Lord Krishna exhibited his transcendental form as the greatest of dancers as he entered the forest of Vrindavan, beautifying it with the marks of his footprints. He filled the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips, and the cowherd boys sang his glories. So this verse, these 2 verses, the disciples recited to Shukadeva Goswami, and he became so attracted by the qualities of Krishna that although he was liberated, he became attracted by the transcendental qualities of Krishna, and he came back to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from his father Vyasadeva. So this is the potency of these verses, that they attracted a liberated soul like Shukadeva Goswami to come back to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So Krishna's qualities are so pure and so unlimitedly wonderful that even liberated souls become attracted to them. And Krishna appears, the purpose of Krishna's descent, his external purpose is to establish Dharma in the world. And he does that by empowering the devotees and disempowering the demons. But his internal purpose is to establish prema in our hearts. So by directing our hearts to the spiritual, towards the spiritual, to attain divine love for Krishna. That's Krishna. So Krishna actually, that's the real purpose, is to actually, he performs pastimes of love with his devotees to attract our hearts so that we can become attracted to his pastimes and qualities. And this actually provides like a spiritual legacy, like all these wonderful Bhagavatam, all the books about Krishna's pastimes. It's actually to attract humanity for all time to come. For as long as the Bhagavatam is on the planet, it will attract Krishna, attract us to Krishna. So that's the reason Krishna descends. It's not just to destroy the demons and to protect the devotees, but to actually inspire prema in our hearts and for all generations to come. So, so with all our mind and intelligence, we need to use this to remember Krishna's pastimes and cultivate our Krishna consciousness, to focus on Krishna. And this is actually the best month to do it in, because it's the month of Kartik and there's so many wonderful festivals. So actually it's very easy in this month to remember Krishna, because we're surrounded by so many different festivals and so many different the pastimes of Krishna that he performed in this month, the Damodar Leela, then there's also Radha Kund appearance, there's the Diwali, there's so many different pastimes that take place in this month that we can constantly be thinking of Krishna. And that's actually what human life is for. It's meant for cultivating spiritual knowledge and our relationship with the Lord. And actually, it's a purpose of all, actually the leaders, to actually impart this lesson to all people of the world by education, culture, devotion, so that we can actually remember Krishna through all these different pastimes and celebrations and festivals. So we can see that in the spiritual world, every day is a festival. So we can make every day a festival if we are thinking of Krishna's pastimes. And that's how we can purify our hearts. Because we have got material desires, as is described here. Everyone has material desires, apart from the pure devotees who have no material desires. But we want to come to that platform where we have no material desires. And by becoming attracted to Krishna, we will get free from those material desires, because those material desires will become insignificant. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, he had such great material desires, but when he seen the Lord, he realized that all his material desires were just like useless. They were like he was searching for broken glass, and the Lord is like a diamond, he's like a gem. So when you attain that, then you lose your attraction for this dull material world. And so this is our desire, that we come to the point of pure devotion, that we can serve the Lord with pure devotion and without any other desire for other material things or even liberation. Because liberation also means freedom from suffering. We all want to get freedom from suffering. This is also liberation, a desire for liberation. So it's not just that we want to go to the Brahman, but the desire to be free from suffering is also a desire for liberation. But a pure devotee, he doesn't care whether he goes through to hell or not. He's actually prepared to preach in hell, like Srila Prabhupada. He's not interested in his own self-comforting. He's prepared to go through suffering to please the Lord. It's an opportunity to show his love for the Lord. So that's first-class devotional service. Is known by one's tendency to be fully engaged in Krishna, serving the Lord favorably. And the three characteristics of pure devotional service is that it's Krishna Anushilanam, which means it's full engagement, fully absorbed in Krishna's service. And Anukulena, it's performed with intent favorable to Krishna. So this is very important, because Kamsa also was thinking of Krishna, but he wasn't thinking of him favorably. wasn't thinking. He wasn't thinking of him favorably. Shishikodantai mai pashashiki jaya. So, and the other thing is that Krishna should be the sole beneficiary of all our activities. It's for his enjoyment that we're doing it, not for our enjoyment. It should be for his pleasure. Of course, we will also feel pleasure by serving Krishna, because we'll feel satisfied. When Krishna is satisfied, we automatically will feel satisfied. But the devotee isn't thinking that I'll worship Krishna to please him so that I will become satisfied. He's pleasing me for Krishna's pleasure. That's the main thing. Whether he gets pleasure from it or not, that's the main thing, is to please Krishna. So that's what we're endeavouring for, and all these activities that we're doing, like chopping vegetables and some other activities, it's all for Krishna's pleasure. We should be. It depends on our mood how we serve Krishna. We could be doing the same activity with different motives. Somebody could be doing it with the motive that it's just a duty that has to be done. Somebody else could be doing it without any interest, just some sort of activity. Don't even see it as devotional service, but some just mundane activity. Somebody else could be seeing it as some way in which that they can gain something from Krishna. By doing this, I can get something from Krishna. But pure devotees, they don't think like that. They're only doing it because they want to see Krishna pleased. They're doing it for his pleasure. So that's the ultimate that we're trying to achieve. And any questions or comments at this point? Any questions or comments at this point?
Making most of this class, I was just thinking, we're doing so, we're trying to follow the process, it's like the service at the temple, happening around, getting up early, and still material desires come up. If there's any advice or anything that you can find out that we do wrong, find things still come, or they just.
Well, we can pray to the Lord to help us get free from these material desires. The Lord is very kind, as we see, he's hearing the prayers of Gajendra. And so Krishna hears our prayers as long as we're very sincere, Krishna's very kind, he'll help us on the journey, because Krishna knows how difficult it is. And he wants us to come back to him, so he will help us if we have the sincere desire. So it's depending on our intense desire for him. That will uproot all these other desires. If we have an intense desire to serve Krishna, to please him, and to become his eternal servant, then Krishna can help us overcome all these anarthas in our heart. So that's the positive way of seeing it, that we can actually pray to Krishna to help us on the journey, because he's in our heart. He knows he can destroy, like that verse, Shushrusho Shidadana Se Vasudeva Katharuchi Sehan Mat Sevaya Vipra Punya Shavana Kirtanam, and then Shungvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Ridayantustohi Bhadrani Vidnoti Suritsatam. So Krishna is in the heart, and he is a benefactor of all devotees. He can destroy all that's inauspicious in our heart, as if we've developed an urge to hear his messages. So we need to develop this urge to hear his messages, to hear the holy name, to hear his pastimes and qualities. And then how do we develop the urge to hear his pastimes? So we have to serve the devotees. Serve the devotees are completely free from all vice. Great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So when we've developed this urge to hear the messages of Vasudeva, then Krishna says he will destroy all that inauspicious, the abhadrani within the heart, all the inauspicious things in the heart. If we've developed an urge to hear his messages, which are glorious when properly heard and chanted. So properly heard and chanted, we have to properly hear and chant. not just sloppily hearing chant.
Also, in one of those verses, it mentions that it's almost reduced to nil, but it doesn't get rid of everything. There's still something else that we have to do.
Because that's the stage of anartha nivritti. It's a nishta. It's like most of the anarthas are done, but for the further verses, it described that like nashta preshu badareshu, by regularly reciting the Bhagavatam, that's the verses, all that troubles is nearly destroyed to nil. So that's the stage of bhajana kriya. And nishta is the next verse. Can you remember the next verse? I can't remember that. Rajas, tamas, all the qualities of Raja, tamas, they are destroyed. What verse is that? 1, 2.
Incorporating these verses into this, Prabhupada incorporated these verses into the Markham Gate.
Yes, yes.
So important to the preaching mission of this one.
Yeah. So when you regularly hear Bhagavatam and most of the anarthas are destroyed, then eventually you come to the stage where all ignorance and passion and you can establish in the mode of pure goodness. And that's the stage of Shuddha Sattva. Then you become completely happy, because then we don't have any material desires to fulfill. We become satisfied and we're not hankering and lamenting for things. And then it comes to the stage of bhava, when you come to the stage of liberation from all material desires, material hankerings and lamentation. That's the stage of bhava, mode of pure goodness. So as a process, we can't expect it to happen all of a sudden and overnight, but it takes time, depending on how intense our devotion is, depending on how intense our desire for pure devotion is. Because remember, Krishna is fulfilling our desires, as it says in this verse, so it's depending on our desires, how strong our desires is for material enjoyment, or how strong our desires is for devotional service. And so Krishna's like sanctioning it. So we're initiating the cause, but Krishna is the sanctioning cause. So we may have the desire, but Krishna is the one who can sanction it. So whether we have lots of material desires to fulfill, but usually Krishna helps us, because even if we have material desires, he fulfills our material desires in such a way that we won't desire them again. Because it's like we burn out by all these austerities, all these sufferings due to our material desires. We end up having like suffering, so it kind of burns out that desire. We don't have any desire left for it, and then we will desire Krishna more and more. That's actually natural, because we'll be free from these other desires that are keeping us in this material world. And the more we desire for Krishna, the less we'll want these other desires. But it does take time. And sometimes, unless we get those desires fulfilled, we're not going to be steady in our mind. We'll just keep hankering for them. So sometimes it's best that we get, as long as it can be used in Krishna's service, of course, then Krishna helps us by fulfilling our material desires and also helping us become stable in our Krishna consciousness. So, and that's Krishna's mercy. He's not like thinking, well, you're not wanting me, so here, you take these material desires and, enjoy yourself. But Krishna still helps us to become devotees like he does. Like Gajendra's actually in the elephant body as Gajendra, he wasn't really performing much devotional service. He was actually enjoying himself in the heavenly regions, right, with his family, with his wife and children. And so he wasn't really remembering Krishna much, but when there was danger, then immediately, because he was pious, he immediately took shelter of Krishna. And that's why Krishna, because of his devotional service from his past life, he could remember these prayers, and because of that, the Lord was so kind. Because of his intense prayers, then Krishna came and delivered him. Not only did he save him from the crocodile, but from the crocodile of material existence as well at the same time. He gave him a spiritual body at the end. So this is very, very kind. Krishna is very, very kind. That we may forget him, but he still remembers the good that we've done, the devotional service that we've done, and still helps us on the path. So even if we make mistakes, we make a wrong turn like we do if we're driving, and the Sat-Nav redirects us onto the road, onto the path. So Krishna's like that, the GPS, he directs us. So even if we make a mistake in devotional service or we veer off the path, Krishna somehow redirects us onto the path. It may take many years, it may take maybe lifetimes, but eventually, or it could take very little time. It depends on how far off we go, how far off the track we went. But Krishna's very kind. He can bring us easily back on track, back onto the road of pure devotional service again. So we don't realize how kind Krishna really is. He's very, very mercifully, even all living entities, he's trying to help them come closer to Krishna in some way or another. It's just amazing, because I was just thinking, even in other, in the language as well, as I was growing up, in a Sikh family, they were speaking, Punjabi most of the time, but it's amazing how some words are actually linked to, devotional service to Krishna. So my mother's name is Suvarni, which is the name, Suvarna is gold, which is the name of Lord Chaitanya, and then they would be constantly saying, because they call white-coloured persons Gora or Gori. So they're always saying this constantly, Gora or Gori. So in so many ways they were chanting the holy names, although they were not intending to chant the holy names, but that holy name will purify them, So it's amazing how Krishna is arranged in so many ways to purify us, even for those people who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. Somehow or another they come in contact with devotees, with one of Prabhupada's books, or with the holy name, with the Hare Krishna mantra. Just somehow or another they connect, and then Krishna helps them become devotees. There's so many examples of that in our movement. Anything to add to that?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. I remember last time we had a spread, and its name is Rama. So it was quite popular.
A butter spread.
Yeah, it's a spread, and the name of it is Rama.
Yeah. Well, there's that sweet called Haribo. Haribo. And actually, it's funny because on Sankirtan many times, they'll say Nitai, they'll say Nitai, or they'll say very Gopal, they'll say Gopal. So unintentionally they're chanting the holy names, although they're not even aware of it. But that actually has an effect, because they're not chanting with offense, So we can see how the Lord has arranged, so many holy names somewhere, how it's connected,
One of the guests last night is from Canada, who's been coming to the programs since Maharaj gave the class on Thursday, and he's just going, does Haribo have anything to do with the sweet Haribo?
But somebody must have, thought of it. Maybe it was a devotee who suggested it, or they seen it somewhere and they thought it's a good idea. So so many things come through, so many names of Krishna maybe there that people can chant and we're not even aware of. They're doing it. And Hari, I'm in a hurry, so it's a Hari, they're chanting Hari's name. Yeah, so where Krishna's arranged a network. Lord Chaitanya is actually more merciful than Krishna, so he's arranged a network, a web by which we can all, it's like a net, a fishing net, so Lord Chaitanya's got this net and he's trying to gather all the living entities in this net of pure devotional service, in the Harinam Sankirtan movement. So somehow or another, people are just, without even knowing it, they're caught in this net and they can't get out because the Lord's arranged it in such a way that they're got caught in this, net of devotional service, and it's going to take them back to Godhead. So it's actually very, very merciful. The Lord is very, very merciful. Any last quick questions or comments?
I have a comment about, you was talking about Krishna's internal reasons for appearing. So I heard this, Krishna, one of the reasons Krishna appeared internally was to make his devotees famous as well. There's a verse in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavatam, first canto, where Queen Kunti says that, Krishna appeared in the dynasty of the Abhis, compares them to the sandalwood trees.
Yeah.
So it's like, Krishna appeared to make like the Vrajavasis famous and Mother Yashoda famous. And that's one of the understandings that I have of Krishna's internal.
Yeah, because Krishna likes to glorify his devotees, so that's really. Yeah, thank you. That's very nice. So that's another reason why Krishna appears.
Yeah, and he's Krishna Sadhanam. This is just his office job. This is Krishna with the tie on. Yeah, but his playground is Vrindavan, and that's where he enjoys himself, and we can also be part of that eternal festival. By just serving Krishna. Thank you. Okay, did you have anything? No. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Iskon Gurvind ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi. Sadhu Seva Sadhu Sangha ki jai. This is it.